Hello and welcome back to Good Germs Off-Road Adventures, and welcome back to the Stryker toy hauler. I've been asked at least once, maybe 3 times, no, probably just once. I've been asked for another update, and well, this is now May of 2025, so this is the 3-year anniversary of picking up this toy hauler, and of course we bought it new. If you don't remember, this is a 2022 Cruiser RV Stryker ST2916 model. Anyway, it's been 3 years, almost to the day, since we brought this thing home. And I know I've done a couple of videos. I did like an intro, check it out kind of deal. I think I did a 1 year later. Had some updates, some repairs, some upgrades, things like that. And I don't remember what else I've done since then. I may have done a 2 years. I may not have. I don't think. Probably I did. Nope. I definitely did not do 2 years. Maybe I did. If I did, I'll put it on the screen because I just can't seem to remember anything. And I think I've done another video here or there. I think I mentioned in the last Nothing vlog, did some battery upgrades. But I just wanted to get a 3-year video out there. How's it going with the trailer? What's been going good? What's been going wrong? And I don't know if you can see, we're shaking a little bit. It is windy outside. I think we're gusting like 50-mile-an-hour winds out there at the moment, which is why I'm not outside walking around. So any walking around outside footage, I'll just voice over that nonsense because it is too windy to talk, think, and just even be outside. But let's just get into it. So in case you don't remember, or maybe you didn't watch, just a quick overview of the inside of the thing, because like I said just a minute ago, it's too windy to be outside, so I'm not going to go outside. Let's remind you what the inside looks like. That's a door. This is actually the main door. It has some steps we've added, the nice sturdy steps I'll show you here. Can't remember, the Mow-Ride steps. Those, and the wind just almost took the door out of my hand. All right, so in the back here, of course, we have our Happy Jack bunks with lights up there, nice bright LED lights, good for ambient lighting, but there's no switch up there. The switch for those lights, it's down here, because that makes sense. Anyway, there's also another light, which makes absolutely no sense. One of these lights here, there's another one, you can't see it because we're in the middle of cleaning, and it's way up in there behind the air conditioner. It has a switch on it, but it's also controlled by a switch here. So quite literally, if you're staying on that top bunk up there, you have no control whatsoever over your individual lights. And well, the ones in the ceiling are too tall for anybody to reach to turn those off individually in case you want to leave the light switch on. Anyway, it's what you get with an RV. You get switches for lights in places that just make absolutely no sense. Of course, we got the 2 beds. That comes down, makes a bed on the bottom here, also makes a couch. If these are all the way up, this will swing down against the wall there. That way you can do that on both sides and bring something large, like a side-by-side inside the trailer. And as you can see, it's dirty. Did get the patio enclosure surrounds with this, but I took them off, stored them in the shed, mainly because it's a lot of work and wear and tear on those, folding them up and down, just to never use them. I feel like that's one of those things when people go to buy a toy hauler, they think they want that outside patio on the rear ramp, and in reality, we've had the trailer 3 years. We used it once, I think on our second trip out with it, and it was just so we could say we did it and see what it was like. We've never used it again. It's not a practical place to be. If you want to be outside, you go outside. You don't sit on your ramp anyway. Personal opinion only, of course. Of course, you have all the tie downs on the floor, and then there's a rug that's rolled up there, and it looks just like that rug. So if you've seen the other videos, you've seen it before. A couple of recliner chairs, which are okay. They are quite comfortable. They recline easy, but they don't decline or unincline easy. And then the swivel bases like to come apart because they're made very well. Then of course back here in the pop-out, which is a very large pop-out, it's pretty much from here all the way to there. But we have another sofa here, couch, whatever you want to call it, folds up and get out of the way, or folds down, makes a couch there, makes a bed, whatever. And they've stuck a nice little cubby hole back there, which is pretty handy for putting your cups and whatever. Of course, I added one of these cup holders here. Sure. Some nice cabinets, some decent lighting, and a ceiling fan that moves a small amount of air. Well, of course, I have the air conditioners running, which may not make sense because you can see I'm wearing a flannel shirt, which would imply it's cold. It's cold outside and it's windy outside, but the toy hauler is almost 80 degrees inside, and I didn't want to film in the heat, so I've got both the air conditioners running. Anyway, nobody cares. Moving on. Of course, you have your power place there with all your breakers and your fuses for your 12-volt system. Inside the compartment there, you also have your converter and a transfer switch. Here I've added, of course, a solar controller, which is doing the solar things. Nice size fridge. Pretty happy with the fridge, and it does work well. This is a Dometic, which is one of the only Dometic things in the entire trailer, is the fridge and freezer, which is not on, so you know it not doing anything at the moment. I believe that and the air conditioners are the only Dometic things in this entire trailer. Everything else is made by Lippert. More on that later, I suppose. Oh, back here, of course, we have a very cheap Boss audio thing that can't really even keep time. Let's see. I set the time some time ago. It says it's 4:20 p.m. and that says 4:22. It's been about a week. Anyway, it does not play anything other than CDs and DVDs. It's fairly pointless. It does play music though, and you can tie your phone to it and play some Bluetooth audio if you like. Oh, I almost forgot these things that are not fantastic as well. Anyway, cabinets. Part of the stereo system though is you get an amp, you get a subwoofer there. The amp is actually inside this cabinet here, just says power base, which is all fine and dandy. I know that's a popular thing. Let's put stereo system with subwoofer and amp in the toy haulers. We think it's going to sound good, but in reality all it does is vibrate all the cabinets and make you crazy. So most of the time, if we're going to listen to music inside the trailer, don't use the subwoofer because the cabinets are louder than the bass, if you get my meaning. Of course, we have a decent sized Sensui smart television. It's only half smart. It's got like 3 apps, Netflix, YouTube, and I don't know, one other. It's fine. It's on a nice thing that's mounted securely here, but you can pop it off the wall, pull it out. Works pretty good. We've used it exactly 2 times in 3 years. Of course, the rest of the kitchen. Decent kitchen for a toy hauler. Most toy hauler kitchens are not great, but decent kitchen. 3-burner stove, onion. That's not an onion, that's an oven. Some drawers there. Of course, you've got a microwave here, range top. Added a neat little paper towel holder under here, and then this nice pop-up outlet thing there. That's fantastic. Pretty nice sink and faucet, nice and big. There's a knife there, don't cut yourself. Moving into the bathroom, of course, we have cabinets there. There's a toilet. We've got a sink, all the things you'd expect. And of course, the, shower. You do have a fan vent up there, but they actually did a nice thing and they put the switch on the wall so you can open it and close it, turn the fan on from here. It's kind of nice. Then moving, of course, to the front of the trailer, to the bedroom. Do have a king-size bed, which has stuff on it. Like I said, we're in the middle of cleaning. The bed slides from side to side, so you can move it to one side, move it to the other. That's fine. Of course, the night shades that are dark. That one that's made by Lippert that just keeps falling down inside the window. That's fine. You've got some lights with some USB cordage up there for charging your devices and phones and things. Of course, your generator, start-stop hour meter there, because that's a great place. Actually, it's not bad because you can lay down if you're getting down into bed with the generator on. I can reach up and hit the stop switch if it's on. Anyway, And then down here, of course, this is where I've added the switch for the inverter, which we know if you watch that video is under the bed in a storage compartment. So some other specs on the thing, I can't remember the weight. It's, I think empty, it's like pretty close to 10,000 pounds. It's like 9,000 pounds in something empty. I think its gross weight is like 13,000 pounds. Tongue weight, 14 or so, 100 pounds. 2 axles. Of course, these suspension on this, you have actual shock absorbers. So this thing going down the road, when it hits bump, so this thing when it goes down the road, you know, when it hits bumps, it doesn't bounce. It actually rides quite nice behind the truck, and that is, well, that's nice. I think more and more companies are starting to do that, as they should. So let's talk about water. This is one of my both praises and complaints on this rig. Got a 90-gallon freshwater tank, which is nice. 10-gallon water heater, so roughly 100 gallons. Plenty of water to get you through almost any trip you plan on going on. Wastewater tanks, though. So 50-gallon black tank, approved. Perfect. But the gray, 30 gallons. I mentioned this before, either in my 1-year review or in just the overview. Anyway, if you can carry 100 gallons of fresh water, but only have waste tanks enough, capacity enough to hold 80 gallons, well, that math doesn't work no matter which way you try to do it. More so, only 30 gallons for wastewater, so 2 people can get a shower 1.5 times, and maybe twice at the most, and well, your gray tank's full. Plus you've got the sink and brushing your teeth and all those things, and I don't know what they were thinking. I don't know which genius decided that that was going to work. Now, this is a 2022. I remember looking at the specs of the 2023 model, and they had kind of corrected that. They left the same fresh tank, 90 gallons plus water heater. They did up the gray, I believe, to 60 or 65 gallons, which is good. Then they downsized the black to 30. My trailer before this had a 30-gallon black tank, and 3 nights with just a few people. Look, it's at the top. It's right at the top of the tank. It's damn near touching the toilet. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if there's a space issue, a weight balance issue. Why can't they just leave the black at 50 gallons or make it 40? I don't know. But why can't they give you 60 or 70 gallons of gray? I don't know. I know those tanks are probably in front of the fresh tank, which means as you're using them, that weight's going to travel towards the front of the trailer. I don't know if that's the reason, but somebody needs to get better at the math. Where was I? Oh, generator. Of course, we have the Awning 5500 evap, apparently. Generator works perfectly well, except I had overheating issues. The fuel in the fuel line between the pump and the carburetor was boiling and vapor locking, so the carburetor was no longer getting fuel, and it burned out the original pump because it was trying to pump and there was no fuel going through it. I put a cheap fuel pump from Amazon, probably, or Walmart.com, whichever one was cheaper. I think it was like $18. It fit just fine. I put one of those in it, bought a second one to keep in the toolbox because it's actually pretty easy to get to the fuel pump. But I also wrapped that fuel line in heat reflecting material. It's basically fuel line material that you would put on your hot rod if you had a hot rod to keep your fuel line from doing exactly that and boiling gas. Since I've done that, I have not had an issue. The other thing, the outside door where the generator is kept is solid. So that compartment can build up some heat. Now, these generators do have a fan that cools the cylinders, and of course it sucks air in from underneath and then runs it across the engine and then blows it out right next to where it sucks the air in. So if the wind is blowing the wrong way or whatever, that warm air can get recirculated back over the engine and just get it hotter and hotter and hotter. But the compartment that it's in, the outside door, is solid, so no air can actually get in there. But I looked at the 2023s again on their website, and I think 24s, 25s, that's not a solid door anymore. So clearly, to me, it seems like, you know, Cruiser RV figured out that that's a problem that they should probably fix. Anyway, it's fine. I haven't had an issue since. If it's going to be warm, I open that outside door. Of course, I leave the generator cover in place because that's part of the cooling. It directs the air. But I open the outside door and I don't have problems anymore. It works just fine. Now that I think about it, I'm pretty sure I discussed all of that at some other point. That's okay. If you missed that video, I've gone through it again. It has onboard fuel tank. It says it's 35 gallons. I have yet to see it take 30 gallons, but that's okay. Any of y'all have toy haulers ever tried to fill one of those things up? That's a chore. You end up standing there holding the little thing back on the nozzle, barely sticking it in and only running the pump like halfway on, so that way you don't put too much gas. Otherwise, all of it comes back out at you. Improvements, please, in the industry. My buddy's got a toy hauler, same thing. He has to do the same thing. It takes him forever to fill up the tanks. So anyway, toy hauler manufacturers, find a better way to do the fuel filler thing. All right, so updates, issues. All in all, the trailer's been really good. It's actually decently well built. Nothing's really coming loose on the thing. We've only had one, what I will call a catastrophe. And it was a 10-mile dirt road, moderate washboards. My old trailer, it shook it apart, but it never broke anything. But in this trailer, there was carnage. And I've got some photographs and video. I'm probably going to play it here and you can see. But the shower, if you notice, we have a glass wall, glass door, but now we have plexiglass right here. And that is because we got to where we were going, unhooked the trailer from the truck, started unloading the quads, started walking towards the bathroom, and looked down on the floor and saw glass before I even got to the bathroom. Well, that pane of glass that is now plexiglass had shattered into literally a million pieces all over the floor. It was all over the floor there. So we had to make a shower wall for that trip out of trash bags. Couldn't quite do a warranty claim because it was past the 1 year. Can't find that pane of glass. So like I said, I made another wall out of plexiglass, and I bought a sheet big enough that I was able to make two, and I stuck the other one under the bed so that way if it happens again with the other shower wall, when we get somewhere and I see glass on the floor, I can just swap it out, at the campsite. So that's the only big bad thing that's really happened. I was doing the wheel bearings, and I've got a video on that. Mind your bearings, people, mind your bearings. Anyway, I was servicing the wheel bearings and discovered that one of the wheel bearings wasn't greased at the factory. If you're going to buy one of these rigs new, I don't know if the mechanic at the dealership, I don't know if it's part of their PDI form to check the wheel bearings for grease. If it's not, it should be, but it definitely should be on yours. So if you're going to buy one new at the dealership, ask them to check the wheel bearings. Just peace of mind. This does have Dexter axles, and it has the Dexter bearings. They should be made at Dexter. Dexter's not Dexter anymore. It's owned by Lippert, as is everything else. And all the failures, except for one, all of the failures that I've had are because of a tremendously badly built Lippert product. Yeah. Okay. The next thing is the awning lights and the awning. Of course, we have a Lippert awning and awning lights. It's got the LED strip under the awning. It's actually part of the awning. Bought the trailer in May, and by the end of that summer in 2022, that light strip had pretty much melted from being outside, which is where RVs are used. Had it replaced under warranty, had to fight with the dealership, had to fight with, who had to fight with Lippert. Actually, I didn't fight with the dealership. The dealership had to fight with Lippert to get them to send the correct part. There was nothing wrong with the awning. The fabric was perfect, but that's what Lippert sent them, was a new awning. Didn't fix the lights, because the lights is what was wrong, not the awning. So eventually Lippert finally sent the lights. They put them in, picked it up, and they were fine throughout 2023. 2024, they were okay until towards the end of summer in 2024. And now you can see what they look like today. And this is actually from today. Well, the plastic that the lights are in have once again melted, and made a mess of the lights. Now they do still work, but what a mess. That should not be a problem. That's a part that's meant to be outside, but yet when it's outside, it gets ruined. Again, probably a good design executed poorly by Lippert. Realize I'm bagging on Lippert quite a bit, but come on, if you're going to buy out pretty much every other brand in the RV industry, don't make garbage. So right about now, y'all might be asking, why are you standing there with a big 7-foot level? Let me show you. This door is no longer flat or straight. It's warped, and it's warped significantly. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to take this level here and put it up against the door at the top and the bottom, and I can pretty much stick a finger right there through the middle of it. Of course, Cruiser RV, Stryker, they didn't make the door, somebody else made the door, but whoever made the door decided to make a door out of material that, well, warps when it gets warm, apparently. The other doors did not warp, just this one. Of course, because the door warped, you can imagine it probably didn't want to close right, and that's because it didn't want to close right. So I ended up having to, let's not drop the level. Let's put it somewhere there, like that. So I ended up having to come down here to the Stryker and make the hole bigger and actually move the Stryker down just a skosh, just a how you doing amount, 1/4 inch. Now the door can actually shut. You have to push it because the door's warped. There we go. Anyway, and of course when you open it, you get the idea. Another thing to watch out for is look at the brand of tires that your rig is coming with. If it has Trailer Kings on it, in a reasonable amount of time, get it to a tire shop and get some different tires on there. Last year, was it 2024? It was 2024, and it was in the spring, so roughly about a year ago. Less than a year ago, I think it was February. It doesn't matter. Beginning of 2024, so we've had the trailer a bit less than 2 years at that point. Leaving Lucerne Valley, if any of you know Lucerne Valley, Johnson Valley, you come down Camp Rock Road, which is dirt, and then the last little bit of it is pavement. Got onto the pavement. A short time after that, at about 35 miles an hour, one of those fantastic Trailer King tires decided to separate. Tread separated from the carcass. No boom, no leak, no low tires, just it separated. It was great. So I went and obviously I've had to put new tires on it. Finding good trailer tires is difficult. A lot of people have good luck with Goodyears. God, they're expensive, you know. So I went with Carlisle. I've actually had good luck with I've actually had good luck with Carlisle trailer tires in the past. On my old trailer, I had Carlisles. They lasted 6 years, which is way too long for trailer tires, especially on an RV. And then I put another set of Carlisles on it, and they lasted another 4 years before I had to replace those as well, just from dry rot from being in the desert. So I've had good luck with the Carlisles. They're not made in the U.S. anymore. Not much is. Well, maybe now stuff will. Anyway, they're not made in the U.S. They are made in the place on the other side of the ocean over there. But they still look really good. And I don't know, I've had them on a year. They've been doing fine. But the wind's really blowing. We got a little bit of a wiggle happening. Anyway, new tires. You got Trailer Kings or some other brand you just don't recognize and maybe isn't in English. Try to get rid of them as quick as you can before one explodes and tears up the trailer. Thankfully for me, this only did a tiny little bit of damage, and I just haven't been bothered to fix it yet. Anyway, what else? A little piece of trim. The little screw covers on the corner trim moldings, dry rotted. I don't know who made that. Dry rotted, so I've got to replace that. I actually have the kit to do it. I just haven't had time. What else? You know, that's about it. The trailer, it's been a good trailer. It really has, other than the shower breaking, but that's not the trailer's fault. Honestly, I think the glass, the way it's mounted in there, is probably the culprit. I've seen so many people post on different RV forums and threads and things on the internets there that say that they were with that same design shower. They weren't even going down the road. It was in a motorhome sitting there. All of a sudden they heard bang, and it just shattered for no reason. So I think it's just a combination of the design and the way it's installed, probably doing that. The biggest probably setback for all of these newer RVs is just the factories. You know, they're all supposed to be RVIA certified, and they've got that sticker that says they are with a number on it. I don't know that they inspect them. I have no idea. The people that put the wiring in, they're not electricians, so they just kind of hodgepodge all the wiring in, and so you hope everything works. So it's good to test every little light and switch on a rig before you take it home. If you're buying it used from a private party and they've had it for a year or two, hopefully they've already got all the bugs and gremlins out of it. If not, ask them. Ask them to be honest. Tell you what the issues they've had. What upgrades have they done? My only advice, I've never bought one used, but if I did, I certainly would be going through it with a fine-tooth comb, because you just never know. You know, of course, I took the lead acid batteries off. I made a rack. I had 4 of them on there. Had a pretty good sized battery bank, but you know, using the water pump at night and everything else, they got wore down to where they take a full charge, but they don't last long like they used to. So I just upgraded to lithiums, and we're going to be camping, I think, in a couple of weeks, and I'll let you know how they do. I did 2 280 amp hour lithium batteries, and they're pretty fancy. They've got the Bluetooth thing to connect to your phone, so you can monitor all the things that are happening with those batteries. But I'm excited to see how they do, so I'll let you all know how they do. They're the eco-worthy brand, in case you're wondering. Well, that's probably going to do it. I just wanted to get a little bit of a follow-up. It's probably the last follow-up we'll do. We've had it 3 years. From this point forward, it'll just be repairs, upgrades, maintenance, things like that. But, you know, had some people ask, how's it doing? Looking at buying a used one, and we're just curious, you know, how's it holding together? All in all, it's holding together pretty well. Is it perfect? No, but none of these things really are. Work out the bugs. Hopefully they're not too big. Oh, the slide out. It's got the Schwintek on this huge slide out. If you've got the Schwintek, and you know if you do, because it has the runners that look kind of like this, top and bottom, don't ever run it part way and then stop and run it back, or stop at all. If you push open, you hold that open until it fully opens. If you push close, you hold that closed until it fully closes. That thing can get out of sync, and we took this to San Paulo. I think we only had it about 5 months, and we were getting it ready, and then all of a sudden that thing was crooked. It wouldn't go in, like only one part wanted to come in, and then it would stop and get locked up. I probably spent a couple hours messing with it, online searching, all those things, got it to reset, and then it's been fine ever since. But anyway, you got to follow the rules on the Schwintex, and do not put lube on that track. It'll tell you, don't put lube on there. It invites grime to get on that track, which then will cause it to jam up. Anyway, I've lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, it's been a good trailer. We've been happy with it. It tows really nice. Believe it or not, it towed pretty well behind the Excursion, which probably should have never towed it behind that Excursion. But it still even towed fairly well behind that. But behind the the F350, honestly it tows like a dream. It's super smooth, super stable. You don't get a lot of sway even for its size. This thing's 36 feet long. You know, it's huge for a toy hauler that you put behind and not a fifth wheel. Anyway, would I recommend it? I don't know. It's up to you. I like that it has the regular generator instead of one of those inverter Yamaha generators. I've not heard good things about those. This generator, you can run both air conditioners at the same time, and the generator barely feels it. It makes a little and that's about it. Electrical seems to be pretty good. Some switches are not in convenient places. I mean, there's a light way at the top of the kitchen over there by that door, but the switch is over here by the entry door. I don't know how that makes sense. Anyway, it would be nice if they actually just put it on a switch in the kitchen. That would have made more sense. I don't know why they didn't do that. I don't know. It's a good trailer. I like it. Looks good. Tows well. Sleeps many people. Two. That's like 8 people. Of course, you don't have enough wastewater for 8 people to get a shower or probably even wash their hands more than twice. But as far as recommending it, I don't know. I like it. We like it a lot. I don't see us ever getting rid of it until like it's too old to keep, or we decide we want to go with a fifth wheel. I don't know if that day will ever come, but for a tow behind, I'm very happy with it. But maybe you like something else. Maybe you like a different floor plan. I don't know. Maybe you don't like this brand. I don't know that either. But it's been a good trailer. Lots of windows. I wish it had a vent in the living area, but now that I look up at the ceiling, there's no place for a vent. You've got light, air conditioning vent, speaker, light, ceiling fan, air conditioning vent, speaker, light, air conditioner. There's no real place to put a vent up there. Huh. Anyway, well, hope you all got something out of it today. If not, it was definitely just cool hanging out with you. I appreciate it. As always, I appreciate everybody that watches a video, likes it, shares it, subscribes, all the things. I guess that'll do it. Listen, y'all ride safe, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye now. I don't want to go out in the wind. Okay, but you have to go out in the wind. If you're going to go back in the garage, you have to go through the wind. I know, I don't want to go in the wind, but that's what you have. All right, we'll go out and we'll go back into the wind.